What'd you find the biggest potential distraction leading up, especially once you get on site for the week of the game?
Well, I thought really probably the hardest adjustment is the pregame. Because what happens is everybody thinks it's halftime, it's extended and all that, but you have a lot to do at halftime. I remember in our 03 one in Houston, I had about 12 guys getting IVs during halftime. We needed that extra time. The hard part is pregame because you have to go out, warm up, and then they throw you off the field. I mean, they actually have a clock that tells you when the teams have to leave. And then you sit in the locker room for 45 minutes.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And there's nothing to do because you've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You can't go over the game plan anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So just, and now you are in the Super Bowl. So there's a lot of butterflies and you have to sit there pent up for 45 minutes. And it's unique. And I hope all these teams realize it, but you better prepare your team for that because
How do you prepare your team for that?
Well, you just have to make sure they have their music. You have to make sure that some people maybe they read some way to just kill 45 minutes and not get burnt out.
There's a great story about that. In his first Super Bowl, Tom Brady obviously was there in Super Bowl 36 against the Rams, and he fell asleep in that 45 minutes. And people were like, when do we wake him up and tell him he's got to put his pads on because we got to go win? We got to go play a Super Bowl. And he was like, oh, okay, let's go. He fell asleep. Tom Brady, cool as a cucumber.
Do a lot of guys take their pads off to kind of half undress?
Yeah. And you have to have a game plan for it, like everything. And so it's unique. No other game in the league does that. There's not the championship game isn't like that. A regular game, I mean, you have X amount of time, and you time it that way from your pregame to where you come in, you got a little bit of time to shuffle around, and then, boy, your team prayer and you're out. But not for the Super Bowl. It's a unique
thing. And there's
thing.
no way to prepare for it.
No.
Really, right?
No, other than just make sure they understand you better have something to do. And however you deal with it, understand that, but when they say, let's go, now we're playing the Super Bowl.
Talking to John Fox with us, ESPN NFL analyst, former NFL head coach with us in studio here on Golic and Wingo. To that end, as far as something to do, you get down on site. We saw them at opening night last night. Now you're practicing down there, but it's what we've heard more often than not. Most of what you've installed and done game plan-wise was all done at home, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So they've got the game plan in. But what you don't want to do, a little bit like during a bye week in the season, is how you handle that. And what a lot of coaches don't want to do is get it in too early, the game plan, and then guys get stale with it. All right. It's almost like you got to keep it interesting. So there's little nuggets that you put in. And typically it's a 3-day preparation, and you go, first and second down, then you got third down red area, then short yardage goal line 2 minute. However, coaches break it down, you still want some of those nuggets so the guys won't get bored and stale with the game plan.
See, John Fox is with us. That's why you're a genius, because I'm all about the nuggets and keeping it interesting. Got another nugget for you. We're in Super Bowl trivia. There are only 2 players in Super Bowl history that have multiple catches in their Super Bowl careers, all of them for touchdowns. So we already talked about the one person that had it. There are 2 players who have multiple catches on Super Bowl Sunday, in other words, more than one, and every single catch, all for touchdowns.
Mike Vrabel.
Yes, Vrabel is one of them. Yes.
And he caught one of those against me.
Yes. That's why we brought it up.
Well, not me personally.
And
but
you know
my team.
what's coming. Come on, John Fox.
Yeah.
And the other one, Keenan McCardell.
Oh, okay.
Super Bowl 37 had 2 touchdown catches. Those was only 2 catches of the game. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns.
Do you coach any differently in the Super Bowl? From beginning of the game on, from deferring or not deferring, do you change anything or coach differently at all, knowing it's the last game?
Not really. I think I go back, watching Sean Payton coming out the second half kickoff, the onside kick.
Right.
I think, I think in that game, I think he did that differently. I don't think that was something he did, all season long, regular season, or even playoffs. But sometimes with the matchup, you might have to, open it up a little bit, maybe from what you had done all season. You get a little bit more aggressive. But all in all, I think you try to keep it as much like a regular game and go with your team's personality.
So real quick, last one. Have you, in the times you've been in the Super Bowl, have you seen players not connected yet, taking longer, like having that gaze, like that Super Bowl gaze, and not being, because I've always, guys who have played it and said, you got to get that first hit out of the way. Have you seen it last longer? Have you seen players with kind of that
snap out of
not
an
into the
adjustment
game
period
yet, that it took them a while?
Not really. I think, again, it's, I mean, it's extremely hard to get to that game. There's no doubt. I mean, just Andy Reid alone. I mean, it's been 15 years,
right.
And he's won a lot of football games, had a lot of good football
221
teams.
wins.
Yeah, and so it's very hard. But I think all in all, if you're a football player, once that first hit, I mean, you're back to normal. You're competing, playing football, and you are professionals. So I've never really seen it that bad.
To that point, John, it's just getting there. Like Troy Aikman famously said at the Rose Bowl for Super Bowl 27, he said it's just a normal game. Then they played the national anthem, and he said he almost hyperventilated.
Yeah, how about it?
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, it's actually here. So we'll see what happens. John, we appreciate your wisdom
John.
and insight.
Yeah.
Again, part of the legacy of Super Bowl trivia. Be a part of it. Embrace it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.